Geoff, it's lovely to see you. It feels like, you know, you're an old friend now. I've seen you so many times over the years, and you haven't changed a bit, really, apart from the lack of ponytail.
Yeah, not so much of the old, I think. It's a mature friend.
Absolutely. We've matured. We've matured. Both of us have matured.
Mellowed, like a good cheese.
Yes, fantastic. So, Geoff, I'd like to know what's going on at the moment. What are clients asking you for? What are they looking for?
Yeah, they don't know. That's the thing. I as you know, we're working. I'm getting some help from Dave Daniels, who's trying to guide me in the right direction. He's very strict with me. He's even stricter than Sally, which is saying a lot, who's my wife, as you know. And I was telling him about all the marvelous business things I can do and that I can understand people, because I'm a bit of a techie twonk, so I can understand the computer software and the mechanical. And he died because he talks like that, doesn't he? No. The clients need to be entertained. And I suddenly realized that, you know, me and the clients are both telling fibs to each other. You know, the client says, we need an expert who can speak on international finance. And I go, yes, I can speak on international finance. But what they really want is that they've locked their poor people in a room, 500 of them, that's over hot. They've had 3,523 slides. Their only sustenance has been Fox's Glacier mints.
There are other mints available if anybody's
yes,
listening.
And there are other mints available, but not very often. And then they, at the end of the day, really what they want is a lift. They want to be amused. They want to lift. They want to leave the room feeling great. Now, no client ever says they want that. So we talk about, we in the briefing meetings, we talk obviously about content and stuff, but actually in my mind, I'm spinning, how can I be amusing about Six Sigma manufacturing? How can I be entertaining about total quality management? What funny stories do I know about lean management? And it's a kind of weird thing. I tell you what, if you're on the TV, you see the TV thing for kids, the science lectures for children, and you see Professor Skonkins. You know, he's a professor of international expert on thermodynamics, which the client might say, yes, that's right, we want an expert on thermodynamics. And before I click the off button on the telly, I watch for a few seconds. And then there's a huge ball of fire and a bang like a thunderclap. You know, the kids all gasp with fear and then clap. And out of the smoke comes this bloke that looks like the mad scientist out of Back to the Future. And you go, oh, hang on, this guy's brilliant. You know, and I realized that the TV producers who are booking these expert professors and so on know jolly well that they're booking somebody who's entertaining first and foremost. There's probably people in the world that know more about thermodynamics than Professor Skonkins, but nobody who's as funny and as uplifting. And some years ago, we did a survey about how you hold an audience's attention. And we found that something outrageous, like 93% of audiences are lost in the first 3 minutes if the presenter isn't entertaining. So although clients over and over again tell me they're looking for expertise in certain areas, they ought to sit for 3 or 4 hours and watch this expert and think, can I sit on a hard chair sucking any manufacturer's make of hard mint? and actually, what will my 500 employees, associates, members, people perhaps who spend all day working on a roof or in the front line, customer front line, how are they going to make of this so-called expert if what he does isn't put forward in an entertaining way? So we work really hard at understanding the client, but also we work very hard at making it as entertaining as possible. And I think clients need to be very aware that when they ask for an expert, that might be all they get.
No, absolutely. And actually, I don't think it's as long as 3 minutes, Geoff. I think you have to grab them much sooner than that.
I've been generous, I think.
Yeah, you've been generous. And actually, before in case we've confused the audience, I mean, I don't remember ever booking you to talk about Six Sigma or lean manufacturing. Let's share with the audience what topics you are normally booked to speak about, obviously in an entertaining way. I think they've got that. But share with us some of the main themes you tend to talk about.
Sales leadership, customers, and change are the big things. But because I'm a smelly old hippie, as you pointed out, the ponytail's gone. But as I'm an old hippie, I have this kind of holistic thing that, and I'm one of, I entertain myself quite often with this idea that you have these bits of business that conflict with each other. You have marketing who make these outrageous promises. And then you have the poor frontline people who have no idea what that promise is. So although I have these 8 major areas of business, I do overlap and pinch things from one thing to another because, leadership is great. I mean, I do a story, as you know, about a repairman we call the talking bottom. And when your washing machine explodes or photocopy or a computer, this guy vanishes inside and all that talks to you is his bottom. And it says things like, they're all made in Korea, they're bloody dangerous. And I come up with the line, ambassador or assassin. Yeah. Is he an ambassador or an assassin? But I had quite an interesting chat with a client the other day who loved that story, asked me to do it. And just by being bloody awkward like I can be, I said, do you want your people to be ambassadors or assassins? And he said, ambassadors, of course. And I said, ambassadors of what? And he went, our company values. And I said, what are they? And he did one of those, we are the leading manufacturer of toilet brushes and want to be respected throughout the world by taking care of, and he just did this kind of mission statement thing. And I said, yeah, that's that's kind of not what you're, and again, it's, so if I'm talking to management and I do the ambassadors and assassins, I want to make them laugh, but I also want to make them wonder what they want their people to be ambassadors of. You can't expect frontline, you can't hire me to talk to the management and leaders, then ask me to talk to their drivers and engineers in the second part, if I can't tell them what it is they're ambassadoring. I mean, that's, I have an ambivalent view of Disney because on one hand, they're very, very domineering and very strong. But on the other hand, they have a very clear idea of what business they're in, what they're delivering, what their customers look like, and how the team will behave and what they're ambassadors of. And a lot of people don't have that kind of clear focus. See, now here we are. You've led me into being serious again, and that's the thing. With briefing meetings, you have to get to the bottom of what the client wants, but the actual presentation is nothing like that. Of course, it's got to be rip-roaring, it's got to be fast-paced, and it's got to be memorable. That's the important thing.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for saying good things about Disney, because our next guest on next week's podcast happens to be from Disney. So well done. And we hadn't queued that up either. How's that? Wow. How professional is that? Brilliant. So as you said, sales, leadership, customers, change, but there's basically any business topic really, because I mean, in fact, you are referred to as a business guru, aren't you?
Yeah,
Not a guru, a guru.
A guru. I go around the world guruing. But yes. No, absolutely. And sometimes some of the businesses that we've been cast into have come as a huge shock to me, because when we started off, it was sales conferences, because I was famous for my best-selling sales book, which was the first one, Resistance is Useless, and it became a big bestseller, and I got hurled into the world of public speaking. But so, I mean, I just went around sales conference after sales conference, and then just really weird things like social housing, what? And we were like a big hit. I mean, I spend quite a proportion of my time now speaking to non-profit market making organizations like social housing, like doctors, and again, I find that even though they've got nothing to sell, the ability to move people from one opinion to another, to get your point of view across, to get some sort of feeling for the people who are your patients, customers, whatever they are, is actually almost universal. So I've been surprised by the people that enjoy my presentations, and nobody's more surprised than Sally.
Yeah, the boss, Sally, the boss, behind the scenes, your wife.
They actually liked you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We had a very, very, very big job in America. And the chief executive, hi there, Geoff, I'm the CEO. And the audience was 20,000 people. And obviously he wasn't involved in choosing me. And when he realized who I was, because he spent 2 minutes on a plain YouTube and had a look, it obviously worried him intensely. And I remember after the presentation, which was probably one of our biggest hits, he kind of said, they really liked you, Geoff. Like he was totally amazed, totally astonished that anyone could possibly like this lunatic from England. But
I mean, you are a lunatic, and we love you for that. But I think what you guys do really well, better than many, is that you do go really deep into analysing and understanding the business and the people, and make it incredibly personal. And that's why you've got longevity. That's why you're still here now. The ponytail has gone, right?
Yeah. No, I absolutely love business. I mean, you can see behind me. I mean, they're not only just my books, what I wrote, but they're also everybody else's business books. Because if you read, like, do you remember the Beano?
I never read the Beano. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're right. Well, Dennis the Menace had this victim he called Soppy Walter, who was always reading these books with hard sums written on the cover. He was a swatty kid. I read these books with hard business written on the cover. Because you get these people who are passionate about business, but totally inept at delivering it. And they write these books that are indecipherable. But if you decipher them at the heart of it, you go, I get that. Like you were saying, you find somebody who can speak on Six Sigma, which is an incredibly complex quality control system. But actually it isn't. It is actually, when you condense out all the stuff that you don't understand, it's about getting things right. It's as simple as getting things right. I was trying to explain to an audience that had absolutely no idea or interest about agility. My client wanted me to do something on agility, and again gave me 40,000 pages about scrum teams, blockers, the whole kind of flow graph. And I had to kind of sell this to a bunch of people in wellies and orange jackets. And I condensed it to how we would decorate Auntie Florrie's bungalow if Auntie Florrie wouldn't move out of her bedroom while we were trying to paint it, And again, it just, I think it horrified the client to start with, but when they realized that their audience could grasp Auntie Florrie's bungalow, where they couldn't grasp the scrum team's blocker checklist at all, So I love business, but I also love being funny. So
that's brilliant. I like that, the idea of Auntie Florrie's bungalow. So Geoff, what's changed in business
Well, I think the way work is measured, I mean, again, not to worry too much, but with all the working from home that happened, with the more successful companies, if you'll excuse the word, are becoming more agile. They're becoming a bit smaller, a bit more compact. I mean, in the days when you were my sort of prime agent, which was neither of us would admit how many years ago it was.
No, I was a babe in arms.
You were a babe, and me too. I used to go on my tricycle with the little wheels at the side to these things in Brighton. But the big insurance companies had 6,000 salesmen. You know, they had to do 6 sittings of 1,000 each. You know, those days have gone. You know, and then people manage that these agile businesses, the high-tech businesses, the ones that are based in those sparkling little office communities in Guildford and everywhere. They are quick. They are quick. In the jungle, it isn't the big that eat the small, it's the fast that eat the slow, you know. And these people are quick, and they know how to manage their people to get outcomes rather than process. They're not obsessed like the old insurance companies were with how did you do that and did you follow the right procedures. It's very much like, let's get this done, you know. Let's get this done. Let's make some money. Let's pay our people well. Let's just get on with it. And I think that is refreshing, but challenging and a bit scary too, because I still work for dinosaurs. I love my old dinosaurs who use me over and over and over again. But I wish I had the courage to tell them that they need to change, because they're not going to be clients much longer, not because they hate me, but because their competitors are small and have very sharp teeth. You know, that they're going to have to action in the same way. Trust your people, let your people make the frontline people make the decisions, you know, and create this entrepreneurial culture. I think business has changed beyond all recognition since the early days, since the days of the multi-level marketing with audiences of 5,000 and 6,000 people, for the direct sales insurance people, the door-to-door sales people, all of that. Reps, you know, whatever happened to reps? I mean, the motorways were just an artery of Ford Sierras.
I know, my dad was a rep. My dad was a rep, and worked in the company and became a director. So yeah, I remember the days of him going out early in the morning.
They haven't gone, but they've changed beyond all recognition, you know. And the other thing that's very big is the fact that smart businesses have decided, you know, like, as I said, the old hippie thing of being a bit holistic. Smart businesses have realized that a lot of customer contact is being made by their drivers and their engineers and their big. These people need to be entrepreneurial as well. They need to be ambassadors, for heaven's sake. You know, just as I said, that really is important. You don't put the rep in and do the sales, the engineer to do the installation, the driver to deliver the box. They're now all part of the same thing. And again, going back to Disney, you can't tell the security guards from Mickey Mouse from the thing. Everybody does the smile, have a nice day. Are you enjoying yourself at Disney? You know, that's the guy searching you with the bleepy machine to make sure you're not carrying a gun. You know, even they, you know, but in England, we have this habit of going, well, yes, they will be. That's just the security people. Yes, they don't really actually work for us. They're sent in by an outside contractor. So if he was rude to you, I can give you their email address. You know, yeah.
That
brilliant.
Sounds very familiar. That sounds incredibly familiar. It's never, they never take ownership, right? Never take ownership.
Yeah, you've come through to the wrong department. I want everybody who's listened to me to always say you've come through to the right department.
Yes.
You know, I mean, a daft little thing that I did was I had a chain of estate agents I was speaking to recently and realized that they would do this wrong department thing. So we stopped them doing that. Hey, nice to hear from you. And then we realized that whoever they were put onto, if they described that person as an expert, it made the customers feel all warm and fuzzy. So now, hello, Acme estate agency. I'm Judy. How can I help you? Oh yes, we're looking for a bungalow. Oh well, now you've come through to the wrong department. I handle lettings. I don't think there's anybody in the, So it stopped them doing that and said, oh, hello, thank you for calling Acme. I'm Judy. What can I do for you today? Oh, hello, a bungalow. Right, now you need to speak to Terry. There's nobody who knows more about bungalows in Surrey than my Terry. I'll see if I can find him, and he will tell you everything you need to know. He is just totally brilliant when it comes to bungalows. He's our expert. Even if he isn't their expert, even if it's just odd Terry who's wandering around doing the coffees. The customer loves the fact that they've been put onto the bungalow expert, and it's just so easy, it's so easy to get it right for people, so easy, and because I'm simple, I'm able to make it simple. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, but I mean, don't dumb down what you do, because you simplify it, because you get it, and because you have that huge experience. I wrote down some wonderful phrases here that I really loved. What is it? Your competition is small with very sharp teeth. I like that. And I loved the so you don't get eaten. So the big don't get eaten by the small. It's the fast that get eaten by the slow. That's great. And let's get on with it.
That's the wrong way round.
Have I got it the wrong way round?
Yeah, the fast eat the slow.
Yes, so the slow get eaten by the yes.
And it's not the big that eat the small. Yeah, there we are. That's how
I did a really good job.
How well I deliver my message.
No, that was because I can't read my handwriting. I can't write as fast as you speak, Geoff.
Yeah.
Because there's so much good stuff coming out. Anyway, that's fine. So listen, have you then, over the last couple of years, because we've been disrupted, let's not mention it, have you developed new material?
Yes, I have, and it's quite annoying, really. Because people who know me want me to do the stuff they always remember. I'm going to go and see Elton John tomorrow with the boss, and if he doesn't do Crocodile Rock, I should be furious.
I was going to say, it's a bit like that. It's like the greatest hits, isn't it? My man's going on Friday with his with a bunch of friends and leaving me here to look after the dog.
Road, yes. If he says, well, welcome everyone, I'm Elton John, I'm going to do an evening of my experimental jazz pieces, you'd be throwing stuff at him. Yes. And I get that, I get people say, well, I've got this marvelous stuff I've been working on about motivation and the motivation gap, productivity. It's all funny, lovely funny stories about motivation, about a crocodile and all sorts of flatulent cats and things. And they go, oh yeah, well, that'd be great, Geoff, but we want you to do the crapping dog story. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, and
half of this podcast.
Yes, no. I know, but you have to bleep half of my presentation in that case. Oh, Geoff, can you do that thing about the sheepdog? We loved that. Well, I saw you a few years ago, and you did some story about. There's two good and bad things. One thing is that people who saw me 15 years ago still remember every word of what I said, which is quite good. How many people can remember a speaker they've ever seen and what they said? And the other thing is that I can mix it in, and I can still do some of the old funny stuff, but make very different new points with it. Like this thing, ambassadors and assassins. It's only just occurred to me to say ambassadors are what? It's been something I've been dining off for years, and I just realized that we expect our people to be a representative of our company and our values, but it's not much cop if they don't know what it is. Yeah. So actually, yes, we've got new material. Yes, I've been reading lots of new business books and going to lecturers of incredibly boring but very intelligent people. But it also flashes up, well, of course, that would be the what's it story or the so-and-so. I wouldn't work with the, so it's a bit of new and a bit of old, really.
Okay, fantastic. That's good. Good. And are you finding, is there still a place for online presentations?
Yeah. Now, again, obviously through the COVID thing, when we'd finished eating our pets and using,
don't say that.
well, absolutely. Well, I got a pond full of sticklebacks, and I suppose you could do kind of white bait with them. But the to start with, it was awful because the lockdown and everything. I mean, all my diary did, which was jam-packed full of bookings. All that did was solve the toilet paper crisis. Then we all kind of got on like we are now on the old webcam and just sort of talked, which was a walk in the park, really. And I used to be embarrassed getting a fee for it because I'd sit there in my Jimmy Jams and just do it. And I felt uneasy about that, to be honest. So we invested in some nice kit, camera, lights, and all the bits and pieces, and professionalized the whole thing. I thought we were unique. And then I realized that all the really good speakers are now offering a pretty professional, if you are a speaker and you want to do it online, it has to be pretty good. As you know, I'm on telly quite a lot, and I have a relationship and I've made a lot of friends and some great BBC people have opened a studio here, proper pucker job to produce short documentaries and bits and bobs like that. They've also got a ridiculously fast internet connection. So if a client really wants to pull out the things, they can pay a little extra as a fee and have 3 cameras, different angles, switching this, their logo revolving around my head, blue screen, the whole bit. We have a professional camera here in my office, but that you can go the whole 9 yards. And at the other end of the scale, I found a lot of joy with small trade organizations and bits and pieces who do these little intimate workshops, which is maybe, maybe 10, 20, 30, maybe even 50 people, but it's an online Zoomy chat with me, where I enjoy that more because it's not a performance for them. It is actually people asking, well, Geoff, that story you do, but what does that mean? I make cookies, and I find it really hard to ask my distributors for more money. How would you do that, Geoff? And that's really fun. I enjoy doing those as well. So, I've got 3 levels really. That's the sort of Geoff's fireside chat type stuff, which is nice and intimate and doesn't mean me having to muck about with radio mics and stuff. Then we have a very professional Sony broadcast camera based thing here, or I can do the full, Cecil B. DeMille cast of thousands with real lions at my buddy's studio. But the clients do have to stump up a bit extra for that. But it's not that bad really, considering the professionalism that they bring to it.
Fantastic. And I'm glad that you're seeing that online still has a place, because I do think it has great value, especially in these days where people are still going to be working from home. People are still going to be working virtually. Not everyone's going to go back to the office, right?
Well, you also stirred me up last time, because I have this crisis of confidence quite often about, like that the amount of, you've got to try and give your customers the very best value for money, which I used to think when I was starting out was going on too long. They'd give me 40 minutes and I'd give them an hour and a half to try and give them better value for money. By the time they were throwing stuff at me, I realized that wasn't such a great idea. Always surprised that a 30-minute presentation was better received than a 3-hour one. So I've always had this thing about, how can we give our clients the best value for money? And so when the online thing started, the first thing that sprung to mind is how low can we go on price? And I was chatting to you about it, and you did this terrific gasp of horror.
Did, yes.
Yeah, and said, listen, Geoff, even if they pay you your usual fee, they can now transmit you around the whole world, which they couldn't have done at a live event. They can have people all over. They can record it and distribute it for forever. You should be charging more, not less. I mean, I didn't dare do that. But I did realize that, again, if you're a professional speaker, the difference between online and offline, live, it shouldn't be that as great as I thought it should. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. And also, actually, online is harder. It's harder to engage the audience because often you're not getting any kind of feedback. And a lot of speakers need that feedback. I know you can deliver to an empty room, because I know you can do that. You don't need it.
I often do.
Well, yes, I've heard.
I can clear a room usually, but no, yes. But because of that, I had a marvelous conversation with a highly respected speaker, somebody I highly respect, and then had a completely contradictory conversation with another speaker I highly respect. Both of them, one said, "Oh, well, I do 5 minutes and then give them something to do, because people can't just listen and listen and listen. And then I do another 5 minutes and give them something to do. And then I spoke to I thought, that's great, I could do that. I could just give them little exercises there. And then I spoke to this other guy, said, well, Geoff, no, you can hold people for 40 minutes without breaking step or wind. You can do it. And if the client wants to record you and replay what you do, these weird little exercises, doesn't work, just go for it. And both have their value, but I lean towards the go for it, to do a presentation there and then and give it the beans from beginning to end, and you can hold them. You can engage people because I've got this little meter in my head, like a taxi meter, that I always thought I could feel the energy in the room, but actually it's the energy in my head. I must be like my audiences, and if I start to bore myself, I change the subject pretty quickly. I've got this boredom meter.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We all need a boredom meter, actually. I think that's really good. I'm writing that one down too. See?
Well, if I'm in the pictures, like even Top Gun, what a great movie that was. But as soon as the the romantic bit comes, you can hear all the popcorn rustling. You think, this is it. I've got a popcorn rustler in my head. You think, this is a time to start sort of shooting people again. I'm losing them.
Fantastic. I've got one last question for you, Geoff, before I let you go. What's the future looking like? Is it gloomy? Is it positive? We're hearing so much bad news about the economy on TV and about rising prices, inflation. What's your prediction?
Misery. We're all doomed. No. People are going to have to work harder for business. That's the thing. They didn't. They didn't. People would just buy. It's the old thing of, if you wanted to catch sharks, you've got them in a feeding frenzy and they bite at an empty hook. It got like that. People would just click on Amazon. I'll have some of these, 2 of those, a box full of that. I don't care. If it doesn't work, I'll buy another one. It's come from the Wangpo computer company. I'll bin that. Now people are saying, I've got this to spend. That's all I've got to spend, and I'm going to spend it very carefully. People are buying dearer shoes, not cheaper shoes, but they're not buying 20 pairs, they're buying 1 pair. So if you can't give the best service impeccably at super value with people who are engaged, and if your customers can't get hold of you, I've been trying to get a refund off a holiday company, and I was on the phone for 6 hours, and eventually got somebody who said, I promise, this isn't my department, I'll put you on hold. And that was another 3 hours, And
did you get your refund? Did you get your refund?
Yeah, I would obviously would never have done business with them if they hadn't got my money. But they've been doing this. They've been getting away with this for about 10 years. The feeding frenzy started about 10 years ago. My work of helping people to find and keep customers was kind of changing to all sorts of other things. Now, if you don't get it right, if you don't love your customers, if you don't look after them, if you're not easy to do business with, if your team aren't engaged and loyal, you're in big trouble. The way out of this recession is actually, it isn't going to be 5 companies dropping 20%. It's going to be 4 companies doing all right and one of them dying. And the one that dies is the one that doesn't look after its customers, doesn't care about service, doesn't handle complaints, and that's kind of my crusade now. I love every minute. I hope my audiences are rolling in the aisle and walk out bouncing and laughing and repeating my jokes. But then when they sit quietly, it's like all kind of observational humor. It's based on real life and real subjects and real points. Yeah. So in a way, I'm optimistic, and in others, I think there's a lot of threats out there for companies who take their eye off the ball.
Brilliant, Geoff. Thank you so much. You've given us so much to digest in a short time. It's been a rip-roaring experience as always. I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
No, fantastic. I have. Thank you.
Wonderful. And thank you all for listening to The Speaker Show. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating on Apple Podcasts, and you can keep up with future episodes on Speakers Associates website, which is speakersassociates.com, or your favorite podcast app. Check out Geoff Burch's books, and if you'd like to invite him to speak at your next conference or event, make sure to contact Speakers Associates in plenty of time so you won't be disappointed, because you've heard it here. His diary is full. I will see you all next week. Thank you. If you enjoyed this episode from our podcast, please leave a like and click on one of the videos on the screen to watch another interview with one of our speakers. Subscribe to our channel to receive notifications every time we release a new episode, and I will see you in the next video.